Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today I'm going to be doing my what sold video for last week, Monday through Thursday, which was June 9th through the 12th, and sales were okay. I had 3 average days and one that was a tad bit low. But you know, at this time of year, you know, the summer slowdown, which hasn't really affected me in years past like I feel like it has this year. It just seems like, I've had days that are less, way less than I ever have had. And I've had multiples of those this year. And then I'm still having a lot of below average days, but I'm lowering my standards because a little bit below standard I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing currently. I'm trying to list like 12, 13, 14 a day because I'm also focusing on the other new store that we started that's just for clothes.
I was stuck there for a minute because you said you were lowering your standards. I thought you were talking about me.
Ha ha ha.
But you're talking about bad sales days.
Mm-hmm.
And is that worse than a bad hair day?
Y'all, I don't wear makeup. I don't fix my hair. It is what it is. So I don't really consider a bad hair day ever.
And this right here, they're all bad what's left of my hair days up here. At least I don't have to brush it or comb it or anything anymore.
Nope.
Which I haven't done in decades because it's been this short. Since like 1992 or something.
Mm-hmm.
When I became
I like
a cop.
it short.
I cut off the longer 80s hair and got shorter cop hair because there was an accident with getting my hair cut one day and I just kept it short.
Yep.
But anyway, back to the bad sales days.
Yes.
We had a comment just recently and then one a while back. The recent one said YouTubers bragging about their great sales when everybody else is struggling. Well, based on the comments we see, well, let me go back to this first. We just tell you what our sales are. If they're good, we tell you. If they're bad, we tell you. And mind you, these videos are always a week or a week and a half after the fact. We're recording this on the 20th, and this video goes through when?
Through the 12th.
Through the 12th.
Yeah.
So it's always a week or week or so late. We tell you what they are as we get them. That's what it is. We're not bragging. We're just telling you. We're not crying when they're down. It's kind of sad sometimes, but we're just telling you what they are.
And I do appreciate there was a couple of you who, came to my defense because y'all know that I have my bad days. But when you have 11,000 items listed, I'm going to have sales for the most part. And they're pretty regular. I've got the ups and downs, but I don't really have too many really bad days. And I never have I not had a sale in a day because I've put in the work. I don't have somebody else who is doing my listings. Those 11,000 listings, I'm the one, me, that has, listed every single one of those items. I list about 6,000 a year and I sell about 6,000 a year. So, I'm just kind of in that, I built up my store. Yeah, I've got some old listings and we're going to talk about that when I get up to a few of the things that I sold. Right now, I'm trying to purge my old stuff. I'm being proactive. But, I think I'm doing a better job sourcing these days. But I still like my bread and butters. So, but I appreciate the person who came to our defense that said, I tell you like it is. I was thrilled that I sold 2 of those Sasha dolls. Those are, that sale was a once in a lifetime thing for us, being able to purchase so many high dollar dolls at one time. So, but I was also going to point out, being a YouTuber, and I appreciate the sales that I get from some of my viewers, but a lot of people go into my store and they're just going in to see what I've got listed and, browse through stuff with no intention ever of buying anything. And that's fine. I want you to go in and see how I set up my listings, how I've got my store set up.
How did Rebel list this Fisher Price toy or whatever,
right? And I don't mind that, but it does hurt me because I have people going into my store and eBay, all they see is, let's just keep it round numbers. I have 100 viewers / potential buyers
Is what
eBay sees them as potential buyers going into my store, looking around, and they don't buy anything and they leave. eBay does not see that as a good thing, that something's wrong with my store, something's wrong with my products, and it's not that. So being a YouTuber, it's not a total positive thing as far as, being an eBay reseller, because, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube. Our primary income is still eBay, and, I've got to put in the work and I've got to make the sales to support my family. This is our primary income.
If you look at your eBay metrics, eBay shows you those metrics. They show you the click-through rate, and they show you the, can I tell you that I suddenly remembered it's called sales conversion rate, and we did not skip away and go look it up. But eBay tracks that, and if your items, I don't know the algorithm, but if I were writing the algorithm and I had somebody that had a sales conversion rate of, let's say, 0.1%, somebody that had a sales conversion rate of 1%, and somebody that had a sales conversion rate of 10%, and they had similar items, I'm putting the 10% seller at the top because that's the one that's most likely to sell and the one the buyer's most likely going to buy. So I want the buyer to see that at the top so they buy it, because that's when I, eBay, make my money. It's when it's bought. We don't mind when people make those comments. It's just, that's what they're seeing. But as always, there's a little more to the story than what is one person sees, because I saw this meme about relationships the other day. There's what she meant, then there's what she said, and then there's what I heard. They can be three entirely different things.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me go ahead and show you what's sold on eBay. I had no Etsy sales. I'm frustrated with Etsy right now because I've been putting a whole lot of work into it with very little return. I had no sales on Etsy during that 4-day period. First thing that sold on eBay was this Disney 101 Dalmatian penny plush with the little pink collar, and it sold for my full price. I must have done an end and sell similar maybe, and before my sales started up again, it sold at the full price, $14.95. Love when that happens.
Got little pink collars for you and me.
Cue the song.
I'm trying to throw some music in there, y'all. It's the best I got right now.
All right, and then this vintage yellow bucket hat. It had a made in Japan little sticker, a tag on the inside. Took forever to sell, over a year. Finally took an offer of $18. All right, I sold a lot of bread and butter, and I'm sharing some of the bread and butter with you. And for those of you that are new to my channel, for me, bread and butter is like $8 to $12, and I sell a lot in that price range. I go to the bins. I don't pay a whole lot for stuff. I go to yard sales. My cost of goods is very low because I'm mostly a toy reseller, and they just don't, they're small, they're light. So, but I've sold a lot in this, but I'm selling a lot even less because I'm trying to get rid of the old stuff. I'm sending out 30 to 40% off offers. And if somebody comes back even less than that, I'm probably going to sell it if it's been listed in 2023 or older. I'm just purging that stuff. Anything I make on them is profit, because whatever I bought at that time frame has more than paid for everything during that year. So at this point, it's all profit. So, but I sold this Hallmark rim shots I'm So Happy dog coffee cup for $8.96. And I'm also do not do free shipping. So the buyer has also paid shipping. All right, this was a nice, very quick sell. I think, let me see. Yeah, I think it sold the same day I listed it. This was a Thai classic patches puppy dog plush from 1995. Doesn't even have the paper tag, and it sold very quickly, $49.95. Jellycat, oh, got tongue twisted between Jellycat and Bashful. Jellycat Bashful Blue, Ellie the Elephant. I was hoping it was worth more. Basically bread and butter, sold for $13.45, but it sold quickly. You see my picture there with my camera, my phone. This was a Sunbeam Coffee Master C30 coffee pot. Come to find out, it's like a multi-layered coffee pot, the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. So all I had was the base pot, the lid to the whole thing, and the power cord. you know, I listed it at what I thought was a reasonable price, but as soon as I got a $15 offer on it, make it gone, because it is just one of those really unique, special things that I think if I didn't take this offer, it might be a year or two before I could sell it again.
So you pointed out that you could see your reflection there. At least you weren't in your underwear or worse, like you see pop up in pictures every now and then.
Yeah, or your toes hanging outside of your sandals in pictures being taken down at the floor. All right, this was a nice sale. This is Galoob baby face doll. You know what? Last year I found several of them, which was just odd because, you know, they're very unique dolls made from, I think, let me look over here, 90s maybe? Yeah, this one was 1990. There's a limited number in, you know, characters in this doll set, but they sell very well. This one did take about 10 months to sell, but I took a $60 offer. Her name was Loving Laura. They all have different poses on their face. So I was thrilled to see her go to a new home. All right, Kid Robot, Rainbow, SpongeBob SquarePants Plush. I don't care for that character, but you know, for the most part, he takes a little bit of time, but not forever. But most of the things that I pick up that are SpongeBob SquarePants sell like within a year. This one sold though, bread and butter, $8.96. Weighted pink dinosaur plush, 23-inch, sold for $12. Another really nice plush sale. This one was Eden, white rabbit plush with the sleeping eyes, sold also for $60. Kelly Toy pink rabbit plush with the crinkle ears from 2019, sold for $11.66. Winnie the Pooh, Mr. Sanders little treehouse with a couple of small plush, sold for a best offer of $13. This was a Ben's pickup. All right, this was one of the large size Disney Zoom Zoom plush. This is Stitch, and he took forever. This is probably something I will not pick up any more of them. They just don't sell as well as I think the little small ones do. $8.96. Torrid Premium Barely Bootcut Jeans, sold for $17.50. Quick sale also. This is one of those carnival style plush. Again, really, really old listing. Very glad to see it gone. This one had the little pink eyes. Sometimes those in the carnival style plush, the eyes are glass, so you know, always pay attention to that. This one had plastic eyes. And he finally sold for $13.45. This came from the Snoopy lot that I purchased last year. At this point, I am way into the profit, so I'm pretty much taking most offers just to, you know, get that stuff moved, get those bins reclaimed for other things that they are in right now. In fact, I've started throwing new stuff in there because the bins are getting much lower. This was by Flambro Imports. It was a cute little Snoopy figure with a whole bunch of wood stocks. Unfortunately, there was one little broken piece. One of the wood stocks heads had broken off. I did re-glue it. I did show, you know, a picture up close. Talked about it in the item description. Lowered my price compared to other comps. And it took about, let's see, 8 months to sell, $28.76. First and Main Tender Teddy Bear Blue Bear Plush. Oh, I thought I had bear in there twice. It just kind of, too many B's in a row. I had another one like this, and I went back and forth thinking, should I put them together, should I not? I decided at the last second not to put them together, and this one sold very, very quickly. For $13.45. There's a bunch of different colors. I think the other one I have right now is like a red, and I think I've got a tan. So they're very cute, and I love First and Main.
You talked earlier in this video about, you know, you do all the listings, you don't have anybody hired to help you. But we talked about that today. Maybe
We
getting a
have.
VA so that Rebel would do the like physical processing here and she would put it into a spreadsheet, and then overnight somebody else would take the photos and the spreadsheet data and create the listings.
And then every
and
morning I would just have to get up and release them.
It would
I've
be-
thought about that, and I've thought about, using AI to generate my listings. I've done it the same way for so long. It would really be out of character for me, out of the norm for me to use AI. Like what's in List Perfectly. I've dabbled with the one on List Perfectly with just like clothing. But what if I used my phone, and I know lots of people do this, but I haven't been. All I do with my phone is take pictures. I list everything from a desktop. But I'm thinking about, can I figure out a way so that I use my phone with List Perfectly to take the pictures and let it generate my listing and, all of that stuff. And, instead of this being a 2-day thing for me, because I process one day, I list the next day. With each item I touch, I go all the way through the process to go ahead and list it or make drafts of it. So I don't know. I'm dabbling with how I can become more efficient. So I don't know. Anybody got suggestions? I know that AI is big, but I'm also old school. I like to do the things that I've done, how I've done them for 26 years. So
I'd like to stick my nose in here for a second, because that's what I do with changing the way you do things. Is you have a good way of doing that. It works very well for you. I've been through some software changes in the past as a software developer, and people kind of get set in their ways, and they like to do things the way they've always done them. A real good example is I work for a state agency in Missouri, and I was rewriting a piece of software from an old DOS based into a new Windows version, and I would ask them what they needed, and they would tell me they need these things and they need these 4 reports. Well, what do you do with the reports? Well, I take the second report and I pass it on to Larry. So I go talk to Larry. What do you do with it? I pass it on to Mary, and I go talk to Mary, and she says, I don't use it anymore. I throw it in the trash can. But for those first 2 people, that report was critical, even though it was useless. And that's how some of our processes get. It's not that what Rebel does is useless. It's just that the way she's doing it might not be necessary anymore, that there's a better automated way of handling that. And you don't want to be stuck in the old ways.
no.
Think how much our business is better now with, little changes we've made. We actually have things in clear bags.
We have inventory numbers and systems in place so that it's not difficult to find the items that we need to pull every single day.
But it's difficult to get people to change sometimes. I like the way things are. I also like to change things and make them better. Rebel's she likes them the way they are, and she doesn't like change. Anybody out there had a VA before?
Bad purchase. Bad. This thing was 30 inches long. Luckily, it was a stuffed one. It wasn't a carnival style, but it was a Fiesta. Red Lobster, been listed forever. Finally sold. $11.86.
I tried to put it in a bag, y'all. The shipping got expensive in a bag. I had
Yeah.
to smush it into a 13-10 box. And it didn't hurt it. But my first thought was, bag is going to be cheaper because the box is $1. I looked the other day, they're what, $1.35? $1.35 for the 13-10 box. And the bag is going to be a quarter or something like that, right? Save, $1 on the bag. Well, the shipping went way more than $1.
Because when you squished it in there, it wasn't, it still was quite long, 18 inches, 20 inches, or whatever it was going to be. So,
Yeah.
box ended up being cheaper. All right, Cabbage Patch Kids boy doll with the sheriff outfit from 1984. This has been listed since 2023. Y'all, I regret this listing. I regret this sale. Because I'm pretty sure if I had just listed the little sheriff outfit by itself, I probably could have gotten $15-20 for it. It was absolutely adorable. But for some reason, back in 2023, I left it with this doll. Regret. But it sold $11.66. Levi's men's distressed jeans sold for $17. Berenstain Bear's Sister Bear hand puppet from 1987 sold for $9.86.
Is it really Berenstain's?
Berenstain's bear. Ooh,
Oh.
maybe not.
I thought it was Berenstain.
Berenstain. Nope. Oh, Berenstain's ink. I don't know. I probably have that wrong.
I'm going to look it up.
You look it up. Let's keep going.
That's what we're here for, to help other people not make the same mistakes we made.
I know. Berenstain Bears. I don't know. All right. This was just a pickup the other day. I don't normally buy children's clothes or shoes, but I think these were like a quarter or 50 cents. I ended up picking up 3 baby Stride Right sneakers, and this one sold very, very quickly for $22.45. So I learned something. Stride Right, definitely something to be looking for when you're out there.
No S on the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, I messed it up. I looked at that tag, Berenstain's ink. All right, blue glass flower shape ashtray. Funny story is this was also listed on Etsy. On Etsy, I got a question, somebody wanting to know what the gram weight is and some other stuff about it. And then on eBay, the same time frame, I'm getting offers for it. It's been listed since January, but I had it in my inventory for a while. It was something I pulled off my profit pile shelves. So I thought, I'm just going to make it gone. $18. I don't want to deal with gram weights and extra questions and all of that stuff. I didn't go back. I just ended the listing on Etsy, did not answer that question, and I got dinged. Etsy gave me a markdown on my star seller, whatever they are, because I didn't answer his question. All I did was end the listing. So, phooey on me. I should have answered that, because now, you know, I don't know if it's like on eBay when you're underperforming on eBay and they just kind of, you know, just kind of block, not really block. What's the word that I want to use when you're underperforming? eBay just doesn't bring your listings out as much, doesn't share them, doesn't push them. So I wonder if that's what's happening to me on Etsy, because, you know, I'm at like 75% on my answering customer, you know, questions, because I just ended that without answering the question. This is a viewer sale, so thank you so much, Dana. Dana came in and purchased these Lee Perfect Fit women's bootcut jeans for $15.94. So thanks again, Dana. Aurora Ebba is the series. Gray and white little cow plush sold for $8.96. All right, here's one of my examples. Glad to see it gone. Been listed since 2023. And, you know, I need to go in and see how many listings I have left. I did check the 2212s, which is anything that got listed before January 1st of 2023. Everything just got given a code of 2212. I did that at the beginning of the year to see how much I was going to sell by the end of the year, but I need to do it for 2023 because I am pushing to get those listings sold. Even at $5, this is going to be a profit for me, and it was a bad buy. It's time to go. All right, another really old listing. Arrivederci. This is a ceramic pumpkin figure light with the top came off, it lit up. It was like a window decoration. Wasn't overly big, only like 10 inches, so it wasn't a pain or anything to ship. But I went ahead and took a $15 offer on it. Applause Victoria White Bear Plush. This buyer sent me the cutest message right after she purchased it, you know, letting me know that this is a copy, or, you know, a duplicate of her favorite childhood plush. She even sent me a picture showing just the tattered, very discolored one that she still had, and this was going to be a replacement for it. I just love when this old stuff, you know, means something so special to the person who's buying it from me. But it sold for $11.66. Fisher Price Little People. This was a nativity animal set of sheep, donkey and camel, $11.66. Walmart little brown fox with the red heart, 2023, sold for $14.36. Bass Pro Shop husky wolf dog plush with the cute little bandana, sold for $10. Snowman cookie press figure, sold for $10. Those underwear that I showed you in a recent haul, I paid $20 for a box, Xerox box, probably half full. All of them had their paper tags. I sold them all of them. Pretty quickly. There's going to be some in this video, and the rest of them are going to be in the next video. I sold these four for $29.95. And then I sold 2 lots to one person for $49.95. And then I sold the rest. Will be in the next video. But I paid $20 for all of these. And I kept some for me and my son's girlfriend. And I don't know. There were some that, what should I say?
We're definitely not new. That's how you describe that, dear.
The rest of them,
the ones that weren't new,
yeah, they still had their paper tags. They've been discarded.
Dudes don't do that. We go to the store, we buy a 6-pack in the size we know we need, we take it home, and we don't get rid of them. They go in the trash when they get
Done.
more holes than there is cloth.
House of Lloyd, which is Christmas around the world, Angel Bear plush, sold for $16.16. Hallmark Peanuts wall hangings. This was from the Snoopy lot. Also $14.36. American Eagle men's jeans sold for $12. Y'all, look at their just distress, destroyedness. And they sold in about 2 months. Cloud Bee Dreamy Huggins Rabbit plush. Every time I get this, I sell it very, very quickly. $17.95. LBJ. Don't know what that stands for.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
No. LBJ Designs was this 1983. This was a bunch of... I picked up a bunch of patterns. Vintage patterns. All of them were kids' clothes. At a church sale, I want to say I paid $5, maybe $10 for the whole bag of them. They've been some amazing ones. I still have quite a few listed, but I have sold some of them for 20, 30, 40 bucks each. This one were smocked diaper sets, and it sold for $17.52. American Eagle women's skinny jeans sold for $17.71. Torrid women's denim shorts sold for $12. This was a very nice sale. I picked this up at an estate sale. It was dusty, dirty, but it still worked. I was thrilled. Anytime I can show a toy working, I do make a video. The videos are so easy to use on eBay. I really encourage you to, just record your toy working, and then it just loads automatically on eBay. Easy, easy. Now that, they offer that option when you're listing. This wind-up little poo TV sold for $49.95. And last but not least was this Christmas frog plush that makes sounds, sold for $17.96. All right, y'all. It's been a long day. We went sourcing today. Didn't find a whole lot, but there is a ton tomorrow, starting with one at our local high school that starts at 7. So somebody's going to be in line at 6:30. Please no rain. Please no rain.
So we talked about needing organizing help
Mm-hmm.
for you here, and mentioned that Rhonda over at Got Junk in Our Trunk used to do that.
Yep.
She said, organizing help. You need me at all. You feed me at all those fun places up there, and I'm in. So we got you covered, Rhonda.
There you go. fried honey buns.
Hopefully we'll have it all organized by then, but you come up here and we'll feed you some of the good stuff anyway.
Yep. All right, y'all. Get to work. Bye.